Hi, it's me, Ingrid INFP, and welcome to INFP Poetry Corner, where I crochet and comment on poems. And I don't really know what I'm doing in this crochet project. I'm just like making something for the sake of making something. This fabric is really rough and scratchy. And I have like a tiny hook. I just want to get rid of this yarn at this point. So we'll see how this goes. I've also been listening to an audiobook, the Lord of the Rings audiobook, because I do have the book. I have the book here. Like, it's just so huge, you know? And it's so heavy and I can't take it around with me. So I've decided to listen to the audiobook on YouTube, and by Rob Ingalls, I think is his name. And he's amazing. He does like all the voices of characters, and he sings, and he does all the... he makes the book really lively, and I appreciate that because otherwise I would probably get bored reading and listening. But he keeps me on my toes, and it, you know, it makes me plunge into that world. So I like it. And this poem is by Jacques Prévert called Cancre, which is the Dunce. And it's a poem that I had to learn in primary school. And Jacques Prévert is like every French school kid has had to recite a poem by him at some point during their school years. But he's not well known like outside of France. But he did write the lyrics, or like he wrote a poem that was turned into song. Well, he actually turned it into song, but it was translated, and it's called Les Feuilles Mortes, and in English it's called The Fallen Leaves, and it's a great autumn song. But this one is called Le Cancre, so let's go and read it. Le Cancre. Il dit non avec la tête, mais il dit oui avec le cœur. Il dit oui à ce qu'il aime, il dit non au professeur. Il est debout, on le questionne, et tous les problèmes sont posés. Soudain, le fou rire le prend, et il efface tout. Les chiffres et les mots, les dates et les noms, les phrases et les pièges, et malgré les menaces du maître, sous les huées des enfants prodiges, avec des craies de toutes les couleurs, sur le tableau noir du malheur, il dessine le visage du bonheur. So in English, the Dunce. He says no with his head, but he says yes with his heart. He says yes to what he loves. He says no to the teacher. He stands, he is questioned, and all the problems are posed. Suddenly, mad laughter seizes him, and he erases all. The words and the figures, names and dates, sentences and snares, and despite the teacher's threats, to the jeers of child prodigies, with chalk of every color, on the blackboard of misfortune, he draws the face of happiness. And that's by Jacques Prévert. So, I really like this poem, and I at the time as a child I was friends with an ISFP, and we would recite this poem like 10,000 times in the playground, which, you know, is kind of weird behavior, but we were weird. And I must have been about 7 years old when I had to learn this poem, and I was in second grade. And it was one of my favorite poems of all time, basically. I was always a good student. I was always like the teacher's pet. And so there was some kind of like wish of me to like be free, like the dunce in this poem. Obviously the dunce, like, we don't get to see the consequences of his troublemaking, but it probably wouldn't be that good, considering that this Dunce is from, historical times where unruly children were probably severely punished. But so this is basically from his perspective. So all these questions are sent his way, and he ignores them to, and he hates school, obviously. He hates school, and he draws in every color instead of drawing in white on a blackboard. He draws a happy face, and it's kind of a message of hope for children, like acknowledging that children have this need for freedom, for creativity. And that's not something that I saw a lot of as a French person growing up in France, especially, like in the early 2000s. I went through, it was a tough school system, and the way that I coped with it was by being what everybody wanted me to be, which was a good girl who never questions anything, who just does as she's told. And learning this poem made me see that, that there were other ways of doing things. And like he could realize this fantasy that I could never fulfill. So it's kind of sad, but I realized like I'd never be able to do that. But that is something that I wanted to do. I wanted to just daydream. I wanted to draw on the board and like live in a world of color rather than a world where everything is just so black and white and rigid and hierarchical. So that's the reason why I left France in the end. Things have gotten better in France, but it goes slowly, And France isn't super progressive in terms of learning. It's pretty old-fashioned in many ways. And I'm glad that my brother, who is 9 years younger than me, got to experience a slight betterment in the conditions for school children. But it was still pretty strict. So I like that, I think that nowadays he would have been, this Dunce would have been diagnosed with ADHD or something. But, in my time, nobody was being diagnosed with ADHD. There was one girl with dyslexia in my class, and she was often punished for, like not trying hard enough, even though she, like, the teachers knew that she was going to a speech pathologist and such, but they were just, in their old-fashioned way of doing things. I loved learning the poems by heart. I did not like reciting them because I was super shy. I never talked in class. I never participated in class, which was the teacher's like worst comment about me. But that really limited my growth, having to be what everybody else wanted from me. So sometimes I wish that I had like taken the risk of being a little bit troublesome for the adults in my life, because I would have actually lived, and I didn't actually live by being the perfect student. I basically, I wasn't human anymore. I was just the goody two shoes, a good little girl. I wasn't like an actual free being. So yeah, I'm sorry about getting so deep and sad about this poem, but I think that it's important to acknowledge that, for a lot of kids that people think are doing well are actually not. Just because they have good grades and that they're sitting quietly in class and behaving well, doesn't mean that they're actually developing in the way that they should be developing, I mean, I'm not going to say that I regret acting the way that I did, because it did get me through school and into medical school and such, which is where I'm now. But I do wish that I could have experienced more of life as a child, which I never really got to experience. So yeah, I'm not sure if the translation for this poem was the greatest, but the rhythm of this poem is really catchy, when you're reading it in French, and it's like you're flying away in this beautiful, chaotic, imaginative world of the Dunce, and comparing it to the structure, the stifling structure of school. The Dunce is happy by being so chaotic. So I'm glad that my teachers taught me this poem. I wish that I had been able to act a little bit more creatively, a little bit more outside the box kind of thinking, which was only encouraged pretty much outside of school and in my later years. So yeah, have a great day, everybody. I hope that you like my Christmas decoration. I've made this video because some people like my crochet videos. It seems that most people don't want to see any of my series, because they're the ones that are least viewed. But now I've heard that a lot of people actually like my health videos, and they like my my crochet videos. So have a great day, everybody. Bye.